Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Aaron.
Hey, how's it going, Tyson?
I'm doing well. Welcome to episode 13 of The Turning Point.
Lucky 13.
Awesome, eh?
Crazy to be here. It's awesome.
Yeah. Well, 14 people already. Thank you for being here. That's awesome. One question for everybody in the chat right now. If you have seen the show The Matrix, put a number 1 in the chat. And if you haven't, put a number 2.
Because I know his next question.
The next question.
It's a crazy movie, by the way. If you haven't seen it, wow. Mind-blowing, thought-provoking, very cool. Very cool.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Jennifer. Hey, Jennifer. How's it
Hey.
going? Awesome. Well,
Ooh.
if you were new here,
Lots haven't seen it. You need to watch it. It's amazing.
Yeah, look. Wow. There's a lot of people that haven't seen it.
Keanu Reeves, our Canadian boy. It's amazing. Great movie.
Okay. Well, yeah, there's a lot of people that haven't seen it. And if you haven't seen it, well, basically in the show, there's this point in the show where this guide comes along and tries to wake up this person in the show. And he presents them 2 pills. And one's a blue pill and one's a red pill. And very interestingly enough, one wakes you up out of the reality and the other snaps you back into a memory. Probably, how would you explain it? Kind of like a...
One stays the same, the other one changes your life.
That's a good way to explain it.
Or a risk or a let's stay.
Yeah.
So do you want the blue pill or do you want the red pill, the adventure?
And if you are new here to the show tonight, me and Aaron are MCs here tonight, and we were going to be revolving around taking everyone's questions. If you have a question for Doug, and simply how you ask a question is just by submitting it into the chat, or right when we start that take questions, I'm going to be submitting a link where you can come on the show live, and you can talk with the camera or without, or you can simply, if you want to be anonymous, we have a little chat system behind the scenes, and you can anonymously put a question in if you don't want to be put your name beside it, essentially. Well, if you are new here again, I want to introduce you to someone named Doug Dane. Doug Dane, his story, it started with abuse and has turned into an abundance. And now he's on a mission with the show and to show how others can do the same. Doug and the team created the show because he wanted a platform to reach a lot of people and help them get unstuck really fast. And Doug discovered that the turning point can happen for everyone very fast and for you. And it's quite simple, actually. Doug spent years trying to figure out how to get ahead, and it was really hard. It took him a long time, but it doesn't have to be that way for you. Doug is here for you guys on the turning point tonight. There's a better way. This could be your turning point. So let's not make him wait and bring him onto the stream. Hey, Doug.
Hello.
Hey.
Hello, Aaron, Tyson. How are you?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good. I'm kind of laughing, as I always do, as you guys start the show. I'm looking at my post that I put out. I'm thinking, all right, I've really dated myself, or I guess maybe the audience is way younger than I thought. But anyway, maybe I should get some overrides on the movie The Matrix. I'm going to have to get a hold of Netflix and see if I can get an override for all of you that watch it in the next couple of days. You should watch it. It's a trilogy, actually. The first one is this idea that, Neo, played by Keanu Reeves, is living in this dream state. And something happens in the show. Anyway, he's introduced to this guy named Morpheus, played by Lawrence Fishburne. And Morpheus offers him a deal. He said, you can take the blue pill and you can go home and you can go back to sleep and wake up in your bed and believe whatever the hell you want to believe. Or you can take the red pill, stay in Wonderland, and I'll show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. That's quoting him. So Neo chooses the red pill, and he wakes up and realizes that he's been sleepwalking his whole life. There's this whole other world, the real world. He was living in a make-believe world. Anyway, I'm not going to spoil the movie, but it's funny because last Thursday after the show, I was walking my dog River, and I came with the title of the show on the walk. I thought, shit, like, we gotta wake. I'm on a mission to wake people up all the time. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Talk. What's that?
Just agreeing.
No, just agreeing. Anyway, I was telling somebody today. I mean, every day I'm talking to somebody, and today I was talking to this person, and they were facing, you know, a fairly big decision, I'll call it, and they were really struggling with it, you know, and they brought up all this junk from the past, and I said, I don't want to talk about the past. I said, it's not relevant. But no, but you need to understand, Doug, where I'm coming from. I go, no, I don't. I said, let's just talk about what you want. And so even as they were talking about what they wanted, of course, you know, they can't help themselves, but they talk about this other state that they used to live in, not a state like the state in the United States, but the state of mind that they've been living in, and they're literally living in this fog, and they can't see. I can see clearly, but they can't see. And so every day I have these conversations. Oh man, we gotta wake freaking people up to the reality, wake people up to the truth of what's really, really going on. And this is not about conspiracy theories or anything like that, but this is about absolute metaphysical, scientific, theological, absolute evidence of how everything works and what's happening to you. So anyway, tonight's show was, we called it Escape to Freedom and Wake Up to Reality. So I'll hopefully give you a bit of a reality check tonight. I want to talk about why so many people struggle with their mental well-being. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day who does a lot of volunteering in the mental health awareness space and mental health advocacy and different things like that. And they'd asked me to take a look at something, and it was a talk that was going to be held. We said, "Will you take a look at it? Tell me what you think." And it was interesting. We felt exactly the same way, but she was kind of checking with me to see if I felt the same way. And anyway, I looked at the presentation. I thought, well, you know, the motives are good. You know, the intentions are good, but it's just a bunch of information that nobody can use. There's nothing really new in there, which is normal. There's no real new ideas, but there's all this stuff out there that's going on. And man, oh man, we are just getting sucked in. And it's becoming a bigger and bigger problem in my mind. Or maybe it's just me, and maybe, you know, maybe I just happen to be talking to all the people that are struggling, but I talk to a lot of people. Like I'm in front of hundreds and hundreds of people every single week. And I talk to, 7 days a week. I must talk to 50 people a week, one-on-one for sure. From all walks of life, all different countries, all different wants and problems. And so I've come to the conclusion that it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be all that difficult. So the show, the turning point, every week I tell you this, but the idea behind this show is to wake you up and just get you to change your mind, like look in a different direction. And so tonight I want to talk about why so many people are struggling with their mental well-being. I want to talk about the primary cause of people's mental challenges, whether, it's anxiety, depression, you just don't feel good, no energy, you're depressed, you just have no desire, no motivation, whatever it is. Okay. I want to talk about the root cause of it and share that with you, because I think most people don't need to struggle the way that they're struggling, whether it's anxiety, depression, the whole mental health system is just, drugs, therapy, diagnosis, labels, all this stuff. And I think some people are definitely struggling more than others, but a lot of people are struggling and they don't have to be struggling. But I discovered too, some people like to struggle. That was me. I like to struggle. What I mean by that is that, I've got a really good story. Everybody's got a story. It's all relative. My story is no worse than your story, and your story is no worse than mine. But I got a story. It's filled with trauma and violence, physical abuse, emotional abuse, sexual abuse. At a ring of pedophiles, kidnapping, drugs, alcohol, bankruptcy, divorces, like it's a hell of a story. And it got me really stuck. I stayed stuck for a long time. And then it was great because I could use it as an excuse for being stuck. So if I wasn't getting the results I wanted, or if things weren't working out or whatever, it was a great story to use as an excuse. And so some people like staying stuck, and other people, they blame everybody else. They blame the system, and they blame the government, and they blame their parents, and they'll blame me because they don't like what I say on this show, or they'll blame this, that, and everything, and they don't take any freaking responsibility for their life. And so that's what you got to do. Like, you got to wake up, you got to step up, you got to show up, you got to own your mind, and you got to freaking take control of your life. And if you take control of your life, man, oh man, you'll be shocked at how great you feel. So I want to explain just briefly. First off, we got to understand the root cause of why we feel the way that we feel. So I was going to draw this, but I couldn't get it going. So I'm going to share this guy with you. Let me see if I can put him on some books here, so I don't have to hold it. It's not really. I'm going to have to hold it. Okay. So this is you. Okay. This is you. This is a very simple model to really explain how your mind works. Now, if you follow Bob Proctor, if you follow me, Proctor Gallagher, so you know all about this guy. Okay, this is called the stick person, and it was a model that was developed in the early 30s by a holistic healer. He was a chiropractor, and he knew from his education, from his practice, and from his research, he knew that the body was an instrument of our minds. Okay. And he really believed, and he was obviously able to prove it, was that you could heal your body with your mind. And so your mind is not a thing. And so he wanted your mind is activity, it's energy. And he wanted to come up with a picture, because we think in pictures. You want to come up with a picture, an image that people would understand when you explain how the mind works. So usually when you say mind, people probably think of a picture of the brain. We're not talking about your brain, we're talking about your mind, okay? And so this little circle here, see if I can get this held proper, it's kind of hard to do. This little circle at the bottom, that's your body, okay? And then this big circle is your mind. And there's two parts to your mind. There's all kinds of parts to your mind, but in the context of trying to get the point across and a simple model to follow, the two parts of your mind is your subconscious mind, the bottom half, and then your conscious mind, okay? And so what happened at a very young age, when you arrived here, this is your intellectual mind, your conscious mind is where you do all your thinking, and this is where you take in all your information. Like, you're taking information right now through your five senses. You're watching, and you can see, and you can hear, and you can read. There's words that will come across the screen, okay? So through those three senses, that information is going in to your conscious mind, okay? And this subconscious mind, that is the emotional part of your mind, all right? And so when you were little, this top half wasn't developed. Your intellect wasn't developed when you were little. And so when you arrived here, your subconscious mind, what the Greeks call your heart of hearts, was perfect, okay? Perfect. Intellectually, spiritually, metaphysically, vibrationally, intuitively, it was perfect, okay? And so then what happened is you arrive, and then fairly quickly, the adults, the parents, they start dumping in information into your subconscious mind. And again, it's wide open, okay? It's like a bowl, literally, it's wide open. They started dumping information into your mind, and you got hypnotized. And they told you all kinds of things. They told you, they gave you your name. They told you what foods you like. They told you what language you were going to speak, and you learned to listen and pick up the language. You started speaking. And then once they knew you could understand them, then they started dumping in rules, values, beliefs, what's right, what's wrong, what's good, what's bad. And you were just hypnotized. You just took it all in. You had no way of rejecting it or anything like that. But then you started rejecting it. At a very young age, you start rejecting it because something's not feeling right. You know, they're telling you these things and they're saying this is right and wrong, and they're hypocrites. I mean, with all due respect to your parents, I'm not criticizing them, but they were hypocritical in their approach because they're saying one thing and then they're doing another. Okay. And so you started watching them operating with others, other family members, friends, whoever came to the house, whatever, how they treated you. And this whole judgment piece began, and they started judging you. They were judging everybody else because they learned to judge. So they were judging others, and you watched them judge others. And then they started judging you because if you didn't do what you were told, you got punished. If you didn't follow the rules, then you got criticized or judged. Okay. And so fairly quickly, a great little book I was talking about today called The Four Agreements. He talks about your domestication. We were domesticated. We were domesticated like a dog. You know, we were punished if we were bad, and we were offered praise if we were good. And so we tried really hard to be good to get the praise. We didn't get it a lot. And we did everything we could to avoid getting punished by being wrong. And so fairly quickly, he said, we auto-domesticate ourselves, and we took over our domestication. And we bought everything was told, hook, line, and sinker. We made all these agreements. But then as you were taking all this in, you're kind of going, something's off track. It just doesn't feel right. Something's not feeling right. And you could feel it inside. You could feel the resistance inside. And so then you started to speak up. You know, you'd argue with your parents, or you'd fight back, and you know, you become a teenager. And these kids today, we talked about that a few weeks ago. And you start pushing back because you're watching the adults. You go, something's off track. You don't know what the right track is, but something's off track. So you start pushing. But you don't have any power. You don't have authority. You don't have any control. And so you just accept it again. You slip back. You compromise yourself. You move into the domestication. You go back to sleep, like Neo in the movie here. You go back to sleep and you're hypnotized again. You just carry on. And so what happens is I call it this mistaken identity gets formed. And you see yourself a certain way. And so then you start operating. You operate with those rules, with those values, with those beliefs. You have an image of yourself, of what you're capable of. And then as you go out into the world and start doing things, well, guess what? You start making mistakes. And because you were taught to judge yourself, you start judging yourself based on your results and based on your mistakes. And it's this perpetuating disease that just starts, And so a lot of people are struggling because they're not really living their authentic self because they've got this program that was drilled into them that doesn't really match up with them. Okay. So I just want to get that context. I just want you to understand if you're feeling off, okay, if you're physically or emotionally feeling off, there's a good chance is you're locked into a lie. You're locked into a lie about who you are. You're locked into a lie about who you're not. You're locked into guilt, resentment, judgment, towards yourself, by others, and you're living from your emotions. Your emotions are running you. And so what happens with the stick person here, so this is the conscious mind where you think. Your thoughts create feelings at an emotional level, and then those feelings set up a vibration in your physical body, okay? So everything is energy. And so when you don't feel good, when you're depressed, when you're anxious, when you're nervous, when you're scared, when you're uncomfortable, it's because something's going on in here at the subconscious that's causing this thing to feel a certain way. And then depending on how you feel determines how you act, and your actions determine your results. So here's why most people are struggling with anxiety and depression, okay? So basically what happens, number one, and I love the way Bob puts it. I just love how direct he is. He said the biggest problem that you face is ignorance. Most people that are suffering with anxiety or depression are medicated or going to see doctors, or the people that are sending them there, most of them are ignorant. Now, they'll argue all day long, and they'll say, no, well, you know what the hell you're talking about, Doug. I mean, they're educated. They've got the degrees and they've been to school and they get all that, but they don't really understand how the mind works. they maybe have studied the, brain, the physiology of the body and stuff like that. And they've maybe studied the diseases and the different things like that, but nobody really understands how the mind works. Very few people understand how the mind works. And so people just, it's a habit now. Like in the Matrix, the movie, Neo wakes up to a new world. Well, we're in a new world right now, and it ain't good. Like we're coming on a year now with COVID. Mental health problems are at an all-time high. Control of your life is at an all-time low. And this whole mental health thing is becoming more and more, they're more and more noisy about it, And so what happens is this, right? So if I go back to the stick person, so at a conscious level, you're thinking stuff. And what happens is you have learned to have worry and doubt, okay? You didn't have worry and doubt when you were little. You learned to have worry and doubt. And so you start thinking and you're worrying, and you're doubting, and you're questioning, and you're wondering. Right? You get all these thoughts, these negative thoughts going on at a conscious level, okay? So for example, people are suffering with anxiety, depression. Well, let me come back to that. So you're thinking this negative shit, okay? And that negative idea or thought goes into your subconscious. And worry and doubt is something typically that you repeat. It's not like you have a one-time worry and a one-time doubt, and then it leaves. You keep thinking about it. 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 And the repetition of that doubt and worry goes into your subconscious. And at an emotional level, it sets up a feeling called fear, okay? And you have these feelings, and the biggest mistake that you make is you suppress them. You hold them in because you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to admit that you're struggling. You don't want to admit that you got a problem. I don't want to tell him because I don't want to bug him. Or you suppress your emotions. You're not supposed to suppress your emotions. You're supposed to let your emotions pass through you. Okay, and so you set up the suppression of these emotions, and then your body moves into a state of anxiety. Okay, so that's the cause of anxiety, right? Anxiety, the physical manifestation of the worry and the doubt and the fear presents itself in your body as anxiety. Okay, now anxiety is quite simply fear of the future. Okay, so we back our way up. I've got anxiety in my body, and that's my anxiousness. I'm worried about the future. Well, if I go backwards, I have a fear. Okay, and the fear is because I'm worrying and doubting about the future. So I worry and doubt about the future. I get emotionally involved in that. I get fearful about the future. It sets up a vibration in this thing, and it causes this body to move into a state of anxiety. Okay, and then it moves into a state of depression. Okay, because I'm suppressing my emotions, and my physical body moves into a state of anxiety, and so then it moves to a state of depression. And like I can't get out of bed. I just want to sleep. Yeah, I mean, oh my God, something's wrong with me, And then it moves into a state of dis-ease. I was listening to a YouTube broadcast of the Dalai Lama, and he was talking about that our emotions are causing disease. Our emotions are causing our mind and body to get sick. And so a lot of people are living from an emotional state. They let their emotions run their life. Okay. Now, what you've got to understand is the way you pick up information through your conscious mind is through your five senses. Okay. And just think of all the shit you're picking up through your senses on a day-to-day basis. Right. Like I said to this friend of mine on the phone the other day, I said, we need to stop talking about mental health because all we're doing is bringing it to the forefront of people's attention. Now, I know why they're trying to do that. They're trying to do that to bring awareness to it, to make people feel better that, hey, it's okay. And it is okay. There's nothing wrong with being depressed. Okay. You don't want to stay that way. Okay. But there's nothing wrong. If you're depressed, there's nothing wrong. I get depressed. I used to get depressed and give myself a hard time. I get depressed. I don't give myself a hard time. I get depressed. I'll talk about that in a minute. Okay. And so we keep talking about mental health awareness. We got to bring awareness to mental health for young people and mental health and mental health. Well, that's all that's on freaking people's mind is, do I have good mental health? And so that's what I'm thinking. Then I start worrying about it because I feel off sometimes. And I go, do I have a mental health problem? Should I go to the doctor? I think I've got ADHD. I think I've got PTSD. I think, and then you start thinking shit up. It's same as COVID. I don't know about you, but I'm fairly sure everybody in the world knows about COVID. Unless you're living under a rock, I mean, everybody pretty much knows what it is. Pretty much everybody knows how it gets transferred. People already knows you're supposed to wear a mask. People know you're supposed to, there's enough awareness around. We don't need to talk about it anymore, but we keep talking about it. And what does it do? You take it in through your sense. You hear things. People talk about it, right? You see something on the news. Just seeing people wearing masks. It's right in front of you, right? And so you take that in and you start thinking about COVID. You start worrying and doubting, and and then you get emotionally involved in that, and then you feel it physically. In fact, one of the big reasons why we're not really pressing forward very well is because of fear. I mean, so many people are so afraid, not just of COVID, they're so afraid of so many things, they get sick. People have no idea how your thinking, worry and doubt, creates the emotion called fear, which then takes that fear and converts it to a vibration in your physical body, called anxiety, which causes depression. You suppress your emotions, you get depressed, and you move into a state of dis-ease, and your body starts to break down. I used to have my skin was really, really blotchy, and I had a real skin problem for a couple of years, and there's still some spots, but it's way, way clearer than it ever was because I was going through a difficult time. And I was really locked into that difficult time, really locked in. And while I was going through it, it didn't really show up in my skin. But after, I was through it, then it showed up in my skin. I go, what the hell's going on? And so I've been able to clear my skin through just changing my thinking. People always have sent me, all kinds of offers for skincare products and things like that. And God bless you for doing that. I appreciate you, trying to take care of me. I was going to put a post up one day, a before and after picture, and go, listen, there's a product I take twice a day, morning and night, without fail. And it's called an affirmation. And so we got to really understand that it's our thinking that's causing our emotions, that's causing the anxiety and depression. All right, so that's all well and good, Doug. So what the hell do I do about it? Well, what we've got to do is we got to take control of what we're thinking about. All right. Now, I want to talk to you about there's these laws. There's laws of nature. Okay. If I let this go, it falls down. It doesn't fall up. All right. That's the law of gravity. There's laws of nature, and frankly, most of us are breaking the law. And they're very, very simple laws. And when you hear them, you'll understand them. You've heard me talk about them before. But I want to talk about them a little bit here because I want you to understand it. And what I'll do is I'll send you a little outline of these, and you can just kind of study them every day. It will only take you a couple of minutes to just kind of read it over. Just kind of take it in. But I wanted to, before I do that, I wanted to just read something. I shared this on my live this morning about the show. So every day I read a devotional from a little book called Jesus Calling. And it's basically, Jesus talking to you, giving me advice every day. So today, March 4th, refuse to worry. It's in capitals, refuse. Okay. So number one, you have to refuse to worry. Okay. That's a choice. You know those people, oh, she's such a worrywart. Oh, he's always worried about something. Well, that's a choice. You can't come to me and say to me that you're struggling with this, that, or the other thing. And after listening, I know that you're perfectly healthy. Well, you don't feel perfectly healthy because you're locked into these ideas and you're locked into these stories. Okay. So you got to refuse to worry. That's the first step. So Jesus says, in this world, there will always be something enticing you to worry. Now, if you really understand this from a spiritual perspective, right, there's a war going on. And the enemy is trying to attack your mind, right, enticing you to worry about something. That's the nature of a fallen, fractured planet, he says. Things are not as they should be. So the temptation to be anxious, you hear that? The temptation to be anxious is constantly with you, trying to worm its way into your mind, okay? Just think of the stick person again, the five senses, right? There's all this crap out there trying to worm itself into your mind. The media is trying to worm itself into your mind because it wants to hook your attention to keep you watching so they can get advertising dollars because they control the audience, and the advertisers want to be in front of you, the audience. You know? The temptation to be anxious is constantly with you, trying to worm its way into your mind. The best defense is continual communication with me, he says, richly seasoned with thanksgiving. And so there's lots of ways to do that. You may not believe in God. You may be spiritual. You maybe not. It doesn't really matter, but you can fill your mind. He says, continual communication, richly seasoned with thanksgiving. So you can constantly communicate with yourself. You can constantly fill your mind with good. If you're busy filling your mind with good, there's no room for bad. Okay. Now you got that mental program in you, that mistaken identity, all that mental junk and bullshit you accumulated along the way. And it's going to fight you. Okay. That creates a conflict in you. That's another cause of your anxiety is you start thinking about what you really want to do, the way you really want to live, create what you want to create, be with who you want to be with, do whatever you want to do. And that idea, if it conflicts with your rules, values, and beliefs and your mental program and the way you were hypnotized and brought up to live, well, then you move into a state of conflict and you get fearful. Okay. And so he talks continuous, richly seasoned thanksgiving. And so that's gratitude. Just keep being, even be thankful for your problems. If you're depressed, thank God I'm depressed because tomorrow I'm not going to be, thank God for the problem because the problem is going to reveal a solution. Just be grateful for everything. Okay. And so this awareness lifts you up above your circumstances. Okay. So here's what you do. Here you are, the stick person, and you start thinking, and you're thinking about your circumstances. You're looking at your bank account, you're looking at the bills coming in, you're looking at your relationship, you're looking at your body in the mirror, whatever you're paying attention to, right? You're focusing on. And let me go back here, sorry. So if you do what he's saying here, this awareness of really controlling your mind, refusing to worry, filling your mind with good. And that's what we do. That's what I do. I work with people. I just keep filling their mind with good. I get them to see the good that I see in them. I get you to see and feel what I see in you. I just keep filling you with good. And then you feel good. Well, you feel good because I'm right about you. That's why. And so you fill your mind up with that. And that lifts you above your circumstances, enabling you to see problems from my perspective. So you have to understand something. You're a spiritual being, okay? You are a soul. You live in a physical body, and you have an intellect. And so rather than operating at the physical level, why don't you get up to the spiritual level? Start thinking up here. Look at your situation from a spiritual perspective. I was talking to somebody the other day, the family member's dying. And I was talking to the woman that's dying, and she's ready to go. And she goes, she's in a good place. I know where I'm going. God's taken us a transition, and so she's looking at it from a spiritual perspective, not a poor me. I'm leaving this earth. It's like when you arrive as a baby. Poor me, I've arrived on the earth. You didn't do that. It was a celebration when you arrived, and then there's a grieving process when you go. It's really weird. Live close to me. Together we can keep the wolves of worry at bay. That's not bad advice. Live close to me and keep the wolves of worry at bay. And that's what I try to do with my clients. I try to keep the wolves of worry at bay. All right. So you've got to refuse to worry. So let me take you through these laws really quick, and we'll take a few questions. So there's 7 natural laws of the universe that govern pretty much everything. Okay. So just so we're clear, creation is already finished. All right. God created the universe in 6 days. Seventh day he rested. So everything's already created. All right. God is cause. Science is effect. God created everything. And then as we move into awareness as humans and we create things in the universe with our intellect and our minds, phones and airplanes that can fly, all kinds of things, we just move into an awareness of what already exists and we connect with it and we're able to create something. Okay. So there's these laws that govern how you think, or it governs what you think. Let's put it that way, right? So there's 7 primary laws. Number 1, perpetual transmutation of energy. Everything is energy, and it's just constantly moving into form. That's perpetual transmutation. Energy is always moving into form, through form and into form. Okay, so you have energy flowing to and through you, right? It just is. It's neither negative nor positive, but it does lead to the next law, the law of polarity, or the law of opposites, right? So nothing's negative or positive. It's your thinking that makes it so. So what might be negative to me might be positive to you. What might be positive to your friend might be negative to their friend, right? It's just their thinking that makes it so. It's their perception, okay? And so as you think, and you have the ability to think, you're in control. You can think. As you think, you decide whether something's negative or positive. You decide whether you're going to let the negative or positive in. Now, there's a law called the law of relativity, okay? Everything just is until you compare it to something, okay? So this phone on its own just is. In size, if I compare it to this is big, this is small. But only when I compare it. But on its own, it just is. Okay. And so what happens is, as we think, we start comparing. We compare ourselves to other people. Most of us grew up with an inferiority complex, filled with judgment, and we compare ourselves to other people. And so what is that going to do to the energy through your thought? If you're thinking that you're not as good as somebody else, somebody's doing better than you, you compare your sales results, you compare your income, you compare your body, whatever you compare, that's going to flip the polarity to negative. And the next law is the law of vibration, which governs what you attract to you. You're a magnet. And so your thoughts are the negative or positive, and you created that negative or positive with your thinking, or if you've been comparing yourself. And so that sets up your vibration, and that determines how you feel and what you attract to you. There's a law of gender. Every idea, every seed you plant in your mind, every goal, every want, everything you want to do has what's called a gestation period. It takes a certain period for that seed to grow. And we're very impatient. It's not about being patient. It's how you are patient. In other words, it's not about waiting. It's how you are while you're waiting. What are you thinking while you're waiting for this seed, this idea, this want to manifest or grow in your life? Carrots take 72 days. Babies take 280 days. Your idea might, who knows how long it's going to take. But then there's the law of rhythm. Okay, the sun goes up and the sun goes down. We have no problem with that. The tide comes in, the tide goes out. We have no problem with that. But for some reason, we have a problem when we are up or down. If we're up, we're good. If we're down, we think there's something wrong. There's nothing wrong. You're going to be up and you're going to be down. That's just the law. It's when you're down in the what we call the undulation. When you're in the undulation, it's how you're thinking when you're in the undulation. And if you're thinking shit in the undulation, guess what? You're going to keep feeling like shit. You're going to stay down, right? You're in control of your thinking, right? So a lot of people that are anxious and depressed, they're in this undulation, and I just can't get myself out of it. Maybe I should go to the doctor. Maybe I should watch something on YouTube or make me feel better. Get my ears tickled temporarily. That's why people stay stuck, because they're thinking. And then the primary law is called the law of cause and effect, right? You're in charge of the causes, and the effects take care of themselves. That's a law. It's called the boomerang effect. If I toss out a boomerang, it's going to come back and hit me in the back of the head. If I put out good, I get good back. If I put out bad, I get bad back, right? If I think negatively, I get negative. If I ask shitty questions, I get shitty answers, right? You're in control of your thinking. And so what I want you to do tonight is I want you to take the friggin' red pill. Take the blue pill if you want. I mean, you can come on the show every week and you can listen. You go, oh, you can send me nice comments, which I appreciate and all that stuff. But I'm not looking for nice comments. I'm looking to wake you up. I'd rather have you give me a negative comment, but I woke you up and your life changes, right? So you can take the blue pill and you can get off this right now. In fact, you might even leave right now. There might even people that came on, they left because they don't like what I said. But I'm telling you the truth. That's the bitch of it, right? Take the blue pill, go back to sleep, and keep living your life the way it is. But I'll tell you, here's the bugger. If you don't take the red pill, a year from now, another year from now, you're going to be the exact same spot, okay? Still struggling, still anxious, still depressed, still struggling with money, still struggling with your relationships, unhappy, unhealthy, okay? And the red pill is you decide that you're going to wake up and you're going to take control of your life. How do you do that? Well, what you got to do is you got to change your story, right? Change the story you're telling and change the viewpoint on the story you have. And for most people, stop talking about it. I was talking to this lady today. I said, stop talking about your story. It's not relevant. It's a 10-year-old story. You keep bringing it up. And that's what your problem is. And she goes, oh, that makes a lot of sense. So I'm going to send you guys out a little outline. And you can download it, and we're going to keep talking about this. I mean, this is what's really I'm really passionate about. I'm sick and tired of seeing people sick and tired. And I talked to this person today, and they're an amazing person. You just within minutes, like powerful, amazing energy, brilliant, a real spark. But they're stuck with this mistaken identity. So you're in an emotional prison of your own making, or you're in the emotional prison of somebody else's making. You got this mistaken identity. You're stuck in an emotional prison. And so I'm trying to break you out of the prison by getting you to realize that you have this mistaken identity. And if you get rid of that and you dump all the bullshit rules and values and beliefs you've been holding on to that were inherited, that are running your life, that aren't serving you, then life will get really, really good. Well, Tyson, that's all I got, man. I could probably go on for 2 hours about this, but maybe we should take a couple questions if we have them. I should have cut off a little bit shorter, but I can't help myself.
No, I think everyone was enjoying that. That was amazing. I love that. But if you want to get the questions, we have a few that came in from submission.
Before we do that, I want to just real quick just remind people, if you want to come on and ask for some help about somebody in your life or a friend, maybe you got a friend. You can come on live here with me if you want, or just again, if you don't want to put a comment in the Facebook or YouTube chat, because people can see who you are, just click the link in the chat and that'll take you into the backstage. You can have an anonymous chat with Erin and she'll get your question that way. So whatever you want, but I'm not here to rant the whole time. I want to try to help people. I mean, hopefully the rant helps you, but I also want to, answer your questions if I can. So
yeah. And the link's just in the chat right now, guys. So if you go check it right now, it should be right there. Okay.
Cool.
And if you don't want to use your real name, you don't have to either. You can use any name. So, so Jeff from Florida, let's take his. Jeff from Florida. I've struggled for a long time with depression and I want to change. I want things to change, but I don't believe they can. How do I let go like you have?
Well, it starts with a decision, Jeff. You gotta decide you're done. So I was just finally fed up. I got to myself to a point in my life. I go, first up, I'm thinking I'm not this stupid that I'm doing these stupid things. Like what I did is I got objective with myself. Well, somebody got objective with me. Somebody like me now, with my clients, they were able to look at me objectively and they could see beneath the surface. They could see that I was a kind man, a heart, eager to be better and to do good and to help others, but locked into a bunch of things about myself that really was eroding how I felt about myself. And I had a great track record of evidence to back up that I was a piece of shit. Like that's what I thought of myself. And so they were objective. I said, Doug, let me get you to see what I see. And as they were telling me what they were seeing, like it was resonating with me. I could feel it on the inside. I had a hard time believing it, but I could feel it. I could feel it. And so they got me to be more objective with myself. They said, let's stick with the facts, Doug. All right. And so they just kept pointing out the facts to me rather than my emotions making up shit, making up stories and making assumptions and all kinds of things. So I think number one, you got to make a decision that you're not going to struggle anymore. Because if you don't decide, you're going to keep struggling. And you might have to make that decision every day, 10 times a day. All right. And so it's in your question, Jeff. I don't believe that things can change. Well, that's a problem too, but I want to reassure you that the beliefs you have are based on false evidence. Okay. Now you'll argue, you can, who knows what you've done or what you've been through. And you can show me the evidence. Like this person I was talking to today, another person I was talking to, they had all kinds of evidence to back up why they saw themselves the way that they saw themselves. And I said, wait a minute, let's just get to the facts here. And I said, the fact is this. Yes. Yeah. The fact is that. Yeah, that's right. And the fact is, and I just kept going on, the fact is, and I just kept rifling off the facts based on what I heard them say. And I go, is that all true? Are those all? They go, yep, those are the facts. All right, let's stick to the facts. Right? Let's not make shit up anymore. All right. And so you got to stick to the facts. And you're locked into some beliefs that you don't even believe that you can, because you've been struggling for a long time. I struggled for a long, long time. And like Tyson said in the opening, it was really hard. It took me a long time. It was very, very complicated. But now that I'm through it, it's really fucking simple. And I just want to tell people that and share that with people, that it really isn't complicated. And you're going to have to probably accept that idea too. And I said to this person, I go, what if it is simple? Like, what if I'm right? What if it's not complicated? Could you at least entertain that idea? Yeah. Okay, great. I said, well, everything I've said to you on this call, does it make sense? And he said, yeah. I said, was there anything that I said that you didn't understand? He said, no, I understood everything. I said, so it's not complicated, right? He goes, no, it's actually you're right. It's quite simple. I said, okay, what if that's it? What if you could take the red pill? Now, unfortunately, it's not a one-time deal, folks. You have to take the red pill, several times a day for a number of days. I'm not talking about drugs. If you want to take a drug, take the real drug, all right? And that is start telling yourself the truth. That's the real drug. That's the drug you need. And so you're you're locked into this, thinking it's complicated, it's gonna be difficult and hard. You can't do it. And the person on the call, they said, how were you able to master your emotions? And I said, I made my mind up. I wasn't going to let my emotions run my life. Now, I'm a very sensitive person. I cry at movies. Hell, I cry at commercials. I mean, I was watching a Facebook Live of a guy the other day from Ireland, and I had tears in my eyes. The guy just hit my heart. It was amazing live that he did. I'm a very sensitive guy. I got a big heart. But I don't let my emotions run me. I certainly don't let my emotions run my thinking or my reactions or my responses. And that was a decision too. So you got to just decide that that's what you're going to do. And I implore all of you that are listening, whether you're watching here live or you're watching the replay, if you're struggling in any area of your life, whatever it is, if it's money, if it's relationships, if it's health, if it's mental health, anxiety, depression, whatever bullshit you're facing, all right, there is a way to change it. And you can change it very, very quickly. It's not an overnight fix. It's not a magic pill, but you can change it very, very quickly. And if you let me help you, I'll help you. And one of the reasons I'm trying to do this show is to wake people up and share with you what I now know, because I am an authority on this. Nobody can argue with my story or my experience. I don't care how successful you are. I don't care how many degrees you have. You don't know what I know. Because I've been through all the shit. I'm on the other side. And now I figured out a way that other people can follow it. And that was my mission. I wanted to figure out how to get through this shit so I could show other people the way. And I'd like to help you, Jeff, if you want it.
Awesome, Doug. So we do have someone in the backstage.
I saw that. I know who it is.
You know who it is?
I do.
Awesome. So I'll bring them right on.
Bring her
Awesome.
on. Bring it on, baby. Hey, you.
Hello, hello. How are you?
Excellent. How are you? Now, this lady is very sweet. That's not just her last name, you know. What's happening, lady? You look happy,
Oh my
healthy, and wealthy.
This show is going to help so many people grow. And you know my passion about the whole depression and anxiety.
Mhm.
And you totally helped me control that and to eliminate it from my vocabulary.
Right. Yeah, and that's the starting point. To the turning point is you got to eliminate it from your vocabulary. Sherry is a client, and she went through a program called Thinking of Results. And I remember when we first started talking, how like you couldn't even get out of bed and fold your laundry. I mean, you were really, and justifiably so. Like, you know, Sherry did a wonderful Facebook Live with a friend of hers, Kim, a client of mine, that introduced us and told your story. And it's no wonder you ended up where you ended up. But then you got locked into a bunch of beliefs about that because of all that. And you really struggled. And now you're just getting better and better. Man, oh man, I'm so proud of you. It's just so good to see.
It's so unbelievable that when you put everything together, how now I look back, and you're right, you got to look back with a telescope. I get out of bed at 5:30 in the morning. 5:30. I'm raring to go. I'm listening to my music. I'm jumping on study club. I am loving this process.
Yeah.
And I also realized from your help is everything I went through helped me to become the person I am, to share that story and become even better.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. It's, you know, when it comes to your story, I mean, a few rules I think people should follow. Number one, you shouldn't take your story personally. It's not about you. It just simply happened to you. You shouldn't look on your story with any negative thoughts or feelings whatsoever. And if you do, you've got to get rid of that, because back to the law of polarity and all those laws I just rifled off, if you look backwards on your story in a negative way, well, guess what? You're gonna stay there. So look at your story and go, okay, what are the gifts? Because by law, if it was a negative story, by law, there has to be something positive. But now you got to go looking for it. And if you go looking for it, you'll find it. And then you can convert that negative story into a positive story, and you can help other people that are stuck in the negative like you were. And that's what you're doing now. Like you're helping. And that live alone would have helped tons of people. Yeah. You just never know who you would have reached. So I just love, I mean, you've got a great attitude. You've always had a great attitude. But you made some decisions and you took some action. And the cool thing is that, you know, it just gets better. Like it's not what Sherry's got now. She has tools and she has understanding of how this all really works. I explained it, how this all really works. She now understands how this works. And now she's in control of her thinking. And it's not temporary. Are you going to have highs and lows? Absolutely. Are you going to be up and down? Absolutely. Of course you are. That's law of rhythm. But you just get better and you get stronger, and it becomes a permanent thing. And then you just go up and up and up and up in your life, you know, and it becomes more joyful and more peaceful and more prosperous. You become a better person, you know, all that stuff. Good to see you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I have a quick question for the both of you. The next question is actually kind of in relation to what you guys were talking about. Do you guys want to try to answer together as like a duo?
Why not?
Yeah.
The Doug and Sherry show.
Yeah.
The Sherry and Doug show, I think it should be called.
Cool. Okay. I'm going to bring it up right now. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have such a hard time making decisions day to day. And I think it's because of my past relationship and growing up with a mom who was lost. I struggle with fear and depression a lot. Any advice?
Go ahead, Sherry.
Alrighty. So something Doug taught me, and it really made a difference, was planning my day the night before. So writing out what I want to accomplish the next day. So that will help you in making decisions. And you have a hard time making decisions day to day because you haven't decided to make the decision. I think it's because of my past relationships and growing up with my mom who was lost. So that to me, COVID has actually helped my mom realize that anxiety is not something you can just pick your socks up and get on with life. You need to examine it and see where you can grow from it. So don't look at it as a negative. Look at it as how can you succeed from that point. And don't focus on the fear and depression. Focus on the positive. I got up out of bed today. I brushed my teeth. I took a glass of water. I drank that water. I made breakfast. I took a walk in sunshine. Oh my goodness. I didn't leave my house for like a month. I would have to get my dad to help me leave the house. Now, I actually went driving today by myself to get a massage. Like, I didn't need my daddy's help. And one thing when Doug and I first talked was about codependency. I was codependent on my dad, and I was able to go and visit people and not be with my dad. I think really when we focus on having that hard time, we constantly play that in our mind. Yeah. So just focus on those positives and do your stuff you want to do. Write it down on a piece of paper the night before. And if you only get through 2, guess what? You got through 2. Exactly. That's 2 more than you would have.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, there's nothing more I really add to that. I think people, they have a hard time making decisions because they're bringing all this emotional stuff into their mind, and that just kind of hijacks your thinking. What a lot of people don't know is that your subconscious mind, it goes to work at night. Okay, when you're sleeping, it through perpetual transmutation of energy, it goes to work to take the thoughts that you had in the day in your intellect. At night, it goes to work to manifest in your life. That's why people wake up fearful all the time, because they go to bed with all this negative junk that they've been running through their conscious mind or their thoughts all day long. And then they go to bed with it, and it's this perpetual. And so they have a hard time making decisions because they're, like in this case, she's probably focused on the story and her past and her mom. And she does have depression a lot and all that stuff. And so, yeah, it'd be very difficult to make decisions. Well, it's good to see you. Thanks for coming on. I can't believe it's 9 o'clock already. We got to wrap up. Thanks, Sherry. Good to see you. All right, Tyson, we went really long. I didn't get done half the things I want to get done, so I guess we'll just do it again. We'll do it again next week. As always, I want to thank people for listening. I hope that you guys will share this show with people. If you enjoyed it, share it. If you're watching the replay, share it. Always hashtag Ask Doug Dane. We always do a little contest each week for the person that shares the most. And so we appreciate that. And you just never know who might watch this that it could help. You might not even know the person, and you end up helping them because you share it. So Tyson, Aaron, always, I want to thank you guys for being here and running the show. You guys are running the show. I'm not running the show. I'm just showing up and talking. So I want to thank you guys for being here.
Yeah,
always. And we'll be back. We'll be back next week again every Thursday, 8 o'clock. And I'm going to get you guys something, a little exercise, little tip sheet that will help you take control of your mind and your life and your thinking, and start living the way you want to be living. So, okay. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.